Hello. Alright, so loneliness. And obviously, I'm not going to cover the entire thing of loneliness because it's kind of simple, but also kind of unnecessary and um, and also complex. Okay, so um, I think that first of all, I'm sure you've heard or have seen things where it's like, oh, this generation is so interconnected yet the most like lonely generation ever or something, or like how now more people are lonely and like um, sad and sort of stuff than people before. Well, I think I have a sort of idea of why that is. Right. So, number one, first of all, loneliness is not just being outside, not just avoiding human contact, or not avoiding, sorry, not having human contact, because that could be intentional. Maybe you could be an introvert, and or an extrovert, right? Extrovert, and both of them can get lonely. It's just sort of like different thresholds, I guess you could say. And so an introvert best, and they're both valuable to society because, like, if you think about it, like hunters back in ancient days, when we were hunter-gatherers searching for very nice blueberries, or meat, or that, we, like, for example, sitting and waiting for, I don't know, a lion to come by, and you can't really talk with anyone. You have to kind of be focused and be able to sort of satisfy yourself or be happy or, no, have fun by yourself. And that's something that you could, was easier for an introvert. And so they would be valuable there. But something where more collaboration is involved, where, I don't know, like building a house or something, or building a tent or something, an extrovert would be better. So they're both valuable to society. So, in previous worlds, without the internet, without all these sort of things, we were very, we didn't have a lot of the luxuries we have now. So, for example, libraries, you would have to go to libraries instead of, I don't know, like getting a book online on iBooks or something. You didn't have to, if you want to watch a movie, you would have to go to the cinemas, or go to like a friend's house or something, and that sort of stuff, instead of just having it at home all the time. And maybe even in your own room, so you don't even have to like put on your family TV so everyone can watch. And so, although this has made everything much more sort of, I guess you could say efficient. Like, as in, if you want to watch a movie, you don't have to go through like getting there, then doing that, and doing that. It's pretty like efficient in terms of work you have to do to get to the movie, you know. But I think actually that this is a downside, right? Because if you think about it, if you want to go to the movies and watch a movie, to do that, you would go through all this human interaction. And I think that is a thing where that actually makes us all much lonelier, is the interaction that's not intentional. The unintentional interaction is actually what is a big thing for avoiding loneliness. So if you went to the library, for example, to get a book, you would first of all kind of have to, or maybe not, speak to the librarian, or at least you'll pass them. You'll pass other people in the library reading some other books, and you always have, like, you can sort of either go to them and talk to them about something, especially if they're reading a book that you like or something, or you have the knowledge that you could do that if they were, like, doing something interesting, or, like, if you wanted to go up to them, right? And this actually helps you not feel as lonely, like, it helps you so much with that, right? Because now, going to the library, I guess you could, but there's much less of that social interaction because there's much less people there, because they're all either at home or they're going to the library specifically for like being alone and studying in those like separate rooms and stuff that they can't get at home, or with like better internet or something. And so you can't really have social interaction with them. And so the library has devolved sort of from places where you could really have social interaction, just like any other place really, that you like back in those times, to something where it's specific for a specific purpose. You know, it's streamlined. But then you avoid that unnecessary, some would say, human interaction. Twin turbo prop, I don't know, turbo prop, I think, or turbo fan, I don't know. Well, why is loneliness? Let's start with the why, right? Well, uh, loneliness has come about in us, again, through natural selection, as a bunch of stuff has, because people who are more willing to engage in the group have been more successful in collaborating them, and so reproducing more and stuff like that. And this all comes about because, like, this all comes about with how do people make friends? So imagine you've moved through into a new area, into a new city, into a new country, into a new solar system, perhaps the Andromeda Galaxy, right? How do you make friends? Well, the way to make friends, you would think, is, okay, well, I'll go to my apartment, or I'll go to my house, and I'll, talk, or, like, make friends with my neighbors. Or I'll go to some places, like bars or cafes or something, and then I'll make friends there. Or I'll get a job and I'll make friends there. Or if you're a student, you go to school and stuff like that, and you'll make friends there, right? So making friends is never, like, basically never, unless these sort of, I guess maybe you could have like a dating app, but for friends. There probably is one, but I don't know. So that the real, or the one that has been ingrained in us, is through unintentional, or I guess non-direct interaction, non-direct friendship interaction, has been the way to, make friends. So at a cafe or at a bar, you would come talking to someone with the bar as as a background for it, or to school as the school as background for it. So you're always doing something else while you're making friends, or while you're talking with someone. That it's always with a background. Like, for example, if you think about people, friends, like just friends, right? Doing just being with each other, right? Not romantically, because then there'll be more than friends. So in this case, just restricting to friends. Or I guess I don't know. Just listen, okay? So it is always with a background element. So I guess friends obviously meeting up at a bar or a cafe or something like that. It's always a bar. Or if they're like riding on bikes, they have the biking. It's not just people just coming from opposite sides of the neighborhood and just standing in front of each other and talking. They are eating, or they are biking. And so whenever you don't have, whenever you have sort of a nothing else to say in the conversation, it's not just boring and awkward, like you would if people just came over from different sides of the neighborhood and just stared at each other, you know. You have that thing to fall back on. And that's, like, really important in human interaction. I mean, that's what makes awkward silences awkward, is that you have nothing else to do. Like, the only thing you can do in this situation is really just talk. And so that's what makes it awkward. Because, I mean, if you had something else to do, you would just go in that and it would feel natural. Like if somebody was talking about making a sword, and the guy just goes, okay, cool, and then starts hammering on the sword with his hammer on the blacksmith, right? That would feel natural. But if they were just talking, it would not, right? So this unintentional interaction, or indirect interaction, is the key to make friends and to not feel lonely. And now, with all of this interconnectedness, we have become less connected. That's a good metaphor, simile, something. It's something. It's definitely something, but I don't know what it is. But yes, we have become less connected because of the indirect interaction that we crave. Especially for sort of introverts, where, because obviously introverts can feel lonely. They're not just horrible creatures that we just can't understand. You know, it's just, but it's harder for them to go to a bar and then talk with someone there. Just talk while they're having drinks or food, okay? Unless they're over 18, here in Australia, they cannot, okay? I'm not endorsing it at all. So any sort of crime coming from this video shall go to Robert Downey Jr. Yes. And so, introverts need more of a selective sort of, more of a thing to fall back on. For example, a library. You need to have something big to fall back on. Sort of not just drinking, where it still could feel awkward, because you still really only can, talk in that situation. In a library, you could read, you could read, you can read, or you can interpret words on paper. That one's interesting. or watching or going to cinemas, right? Of course, watching movies at home is great and all, but sometimes you need some people that need human interaction and more of it. Sort of like how um, like like it's a you can sort of see it with like clubs springing up right now with like well not right now but in the past decades and stuff. Whereas like knitting clubs or reading clubs and stuff, you didn't really have that with well before because you didn't really need to. If you go to the library, you can just read it there and you already have people around you. That's what happened, in centuries past or decades past. But now you need to make a club in order to do that because otherwise you can just grab a book because they're cheap and stuff. You don't have to get them from the library or just read it from your phone at home, or knitting club. Like and talk about the book or knitting clubs where you can just do it at home because you have the all the luxury of all the tools and stuff um, you know, at home. But you need the interaction, and that is what my video is about. So, thank you for watching. Hopefully, very few people get to here. So if you got to here, congratulations. Here's a bro fist, and oh, I'm gonna put the cards on the fist. So, Guten Tag. That's good day in German. I don't know what goodbye is. I know no, yeah, Guten Nacht is good night. It's not really night, but I can imagine it is. Or, like this. There you go. That's a very good visual effect. Anyway, breakfast.